We just had an extraordinary visit to Israel with a delegation of members of House and Senate, and it was an unbelievable trip, one unlike any that we have ever taken, primarily because it landed in the middle of a war. And many of you are watching that war unfold inside the state of Israel and surrounding with the proxies of Iran and a forthcoming situation between Israel and Iran. So we really were there in the eye of the storm. It was absolutely amazing. The weather was perfect. We were able to have the holy sites to ourselves because nobody was there. We were there over Easter and Ramadan. And so we were just juxtaposed very well to be able to meet with the leaders of Israel and to understand their perspective of this war up close, impersonal, and in their private quarters. I think one of the takeaways that we experienced from Defense Minister Yoav Gallant was really coming up higher to a viewpoint, an overview of why this war is happening. What is the strategy that Iran and her proxies hold in this fight against Israel that has now been underway for really 40 years? And I think he said it very, very well, that the goal of these nations is to drive Israel out of the land, that there is not a willingness to accept a Jewish state in the region. Therefore, we're going to undermine your economy, erode your motivation and your sense of destiny and your motivation to stay in the land, because we're going to bring terror to your door. We're going to fire rockets, thousands of them. We're going to scare you to death. We're going to put your children at war against us, and we're going to cause the next generation to want to leave Israel. And that really is the motivation. That is the long strategy of these nations, and hence proxies on Israel's borders to do that eroding work, that war of attrition. But what they have forgotten to understand is the God of Israel, and that the nation has a destiny on it. The people have a calling to be there. They have a biblical identity and heritage, and more that eagerness and that hunger for God is palpable, even stronger now than ever before. That was a very important meeting that we had with him as he explained the next stages of the war, the 2 to 3 month remaining effort, high operations in Gaza that remain as they try to take out the remaining battalions of Hamas. That's probably 8,000 people. It was significant to understand that they're not trying to just wipe out every single Hamas terrorist, but to exile remaining Hamas terrorists so that they are incapable of reformulating their plans to take the helm of that area anymore, to have any territorial imperative. And so, of course, that's the aim, to remove their military capabilities and their capabilities to fire rockets into Israel. So Israel must finish this war. There is undoubtedly that important deterrence that Israel needs on her southern border, and that's the big word, D for deterrence. All the way around inside of a rough neighborhood, you've got to have deterrence, and Israel is about restoring deterrence right now. It was so powerful, I think, to go down to the southern border and to go to the kibbutzes and to meet with the hostages' families and those who have been directly impacted by this war of terror down on the border. And we got to meet with families who have children remaining in the tunnels of Gaza, the heartbreak, the incredible passion and drive to see them get their loved ones home, and the clarity that we got once we got down there to see exactly what happened as Hamas infiltrated all at one time 43 different points inside of southern Israel. It was an unprecedented attack, 3,000 Hamas terrorists at one time. Israel is having to restore deterrence. We got to go to the northern border and understand Hezbollah and the strategic importance of Israel being able to push back Hezbollah significantly inland and to restore, again, deterrence on the northern border, to bring the 55,000 displaced families back to those villages and cities on the northern border in the Golan Heights. These are Israel's war aims, and that was the focal point of our trip. Of course, to go on a trip with USIEA is to go through a transformational experience spiritually. And so there were baptisms, and people underwent an incredible process, even in the midst of this war. And then the understanding of modern Israel inside the biblical history or the prophecies. And of course, that is illuminated for members of Congress more than it is for anybody else, because they clearly have the strongest role to play in leading out front, being the iconic national leaders in the world on behalf of the state of Israel today. We have an unbeatable collaboration, and this trip only brought that out. So you can imagine that we've got decades ahead of us of seeing something new really happen. But as for Israel, a nation in trauma, turning to God for answers, seeking the wisdom of the United States on certain fronts, Congress, all of us have a role to play. We're so honored to be in the midst of it, influencing and bringing education to the fore that is affecting and changing the dynamic for going forward. Thank you for being with us.